Hello everybody, this is Alex from Hardcorian Guides, bringing my guide for Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2 on Master Ninja difficulty. Today we're doing Chapter 11, which is Ayane's chapter, which is called Night in the City of Water. So, you basically go back to Aqua Capital, but this time you get to play as Ayane. And starting off the bat, either do a Flying Swallow attack on a couple of the guys, because her Flying Swallow isn't really bad, as you can see. It does work, and you can actually press the triangle or heavy attack after you do a Flying Swallow to kind of like knock them back up in the air. And every once in a while, like, you know, throw out a little UT. It doesn't do very well. It's kind of like Momoji, where even if you get a red UT, it doesn't really do much besides like 80 limb at best. But you can either start the fight with a Flying Swallow or just start with a UT. You have plenty of time to charge up, which is nice, especially if you die a lot, you know, like me. Yeah, the guillotine throw also works, you know, wonders too. You want to try to do that as much as you possibly can. Ayane doesn't really have the best in terms of de-limbing, but she can eventually do it after a while. And plus, the claw Spider Clan soldiers, they are, you know, of the tankier variety, kind of like the black Spider Clan ones. But I think this is the first time we actually get to fight these particular guys. Well, just with anybody, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But after that, you have to fight just these three guys on your own. You do have a couple of optional things you can do here. One I am not 100% certain on, and the other one I am 100% certain on is optional. And the optional one is, once you get past these guys, and you get past the bridge, there's going to be a right, like, pathway that you can take. And inside there's a chest that gives you, I think it was a grain, I think it was. It gives you an item of some sort. And you can actually use that if you want. Like, you can go grab it if you wanted to, but if you do grab it, lichens will show up. And if you go across this small other little bridge, two more lichens will show up. This is the part where I'm kind of like 50% on if it actually is true or not. So when you run across that little small bridge and you get these guys to spawn, like, you can see them through the door. If you get them to spawn, you can run back, and you can run back not, yeah, here we go. You run back this way after you spawn them, and you run in here and you grab this chest, and I think they might actually disappear, but I'm only like 50% certain that's true. I've never actually really counted to make sure it was true. I mean, granted, like, other lichens appear anyway, so I just assume that's probably the case. If anything, they probably don't, yeah, I don't think they disappear. I'm just being dumb. But if you wanted to fight two by themselves, you could. But if you want to fight, like, just four of these guys together, which I'd recommend just, you know, taking out the two at any point in time. Whether after these guys or before, it doesn't really matter. If you want the grain, that is. If you feel like you really need it. I would recommend going for it, but if you absolutely feel like you're okay without it, which you can, for the most part, last with, like, a good couple of grains. There's going to be a couple that we can get, so. Well, there's at least one I know of, and I think you start off with one anyway. But the trick with the lichens is just essentially the same thing as Ryu does. Just UT into OTs, that kind of thing. And make sure you throw your explosive, you know, kunai every once in a while so you can at least get some damage off them. Another thing to keep in mind too is the explosive kunai is pretty good because it sticks to enemies. And if you're getting overwhelmed, you can always just run away and throw the kunai so that way it sticks to somebody. And then from there, you can at least get a little bit of a stun. So this next wave is completely horrendous. And this is one of, like, I'd say 3 difficult fights in Ayane. Well, actually 4. First one being the very first fight. Second one being this fight, because the lichens are not that bad. Third one being the marketplace fight. And the fourth one being, like, before the boss fight. So yeah, Ayane has a lot of really bad fights in this one. So my recommendation for this is, once you run past, you know, where the spawn is for these guys, you're going to want to run back in here. And do be careful when you're running back, because you might accidentally get stuck on walls, you might wall jump, and all the other kind of, you know, silly things. So I'm just basically just trying to run back as far as I possibly can so I get off any UTs, because as long as I have iframes going for me, I should be okay. Also, try to Flying Swallow the mages to get rid of them, because they're going to be your worst nightmare for this part. Mages should always be your main focus, but if you have no choice and you have to fight somebody else, then go for at least maybe some of the more tankier guys and get rid of them with a UT. But, you know, even if you can't do that, then just go for simple swipes toward the red Spider Clan guys. So that way you get rid of them faster too, because they're of the weaker variety, and having more than, you know, enough on screen at once does kind of suck. So, and if you do happen to get too overwhelmed, one thing you could do is in that little corner over there where I wall jumped to get up to that grain, you could like wall jump back up there, the mages will instantly teleport up there, but what you could do is you have more time to attack them than somebody else following you does. So what can essentially happen is when you go up there and you wall jump up there, you can actually hide up there and then let the mages kind of like spawn in up there, and then after that you just, you know, take them out with like basic standard attacks. I recommend not using heavy attacks, so she just mostly just kicks. So just go for like standard light attacks, that way you get the chops in, and then after that, you know, just kill them as you see fit, and whenever things get bad, you know, just jump away, jump back down and try it again, that type of thing. So that's one option. UTs, of course, you know, all that other fun stuff. I actually didn't do it the best, so that's why I'm trying to explain that, you know, that wall jump thing that I did earlier might be one of the better options for you to do. So the marketplace is another really terrible place. I tried going for a flying swallow on the first mage. I always recommend going for at least the first mage to get that flying swallow on. Don't try to do the second heavy attack afterward for mages. Just, if you miss it, then that's fine. If it doesn't get cut, that's fine. Because eventually, like, after like a good couple of flying swallows, they'll usually just die off. The reason why I don't recommend doing the second heavy, at least on the mages, is because there's just so many guys around this field that, you know, when even messing up like the one flying swallow could end you, like, you know, it could send you into that, where you just basically get stuck inside of a group. And you want to at least have as much movement going forward as you possibly can, rather than going upward, if that makes any sense. Like, think of it kind of like a double jump scenario where, like in Crash Bandicoot, where when you jump forward, you have forward momentum, but when you double jump, you're actually just gaining height rather than gaining direction going forward. You're just gaining extra height upward. So, you know, it's kind of like a risk-reward type thing for that type of stuff. I've actually thought about doing a Crash Bandicoot guide at some point. I don't know. It's just one of those things that, like, you know, it'd be kind of neat if I did. Like, level by level, and then just, like, show off how to 100% every level, that type of thing, maybe. It's just a huge maybe, but, you know, it's just one of those things. I've just been kind of in the mood to play Crash again. But once these guys get too bad or overwhelming, once these guys in particular spawn anyway, I recommend going for Nimpo attacks. If you have any other better strategies, then use that, of course, because saving Nimpo is, you know, always a good thing to have. But Ione's Nimpo isn't really bad. It can, for the most part, delimb to a good extent, or at least do enough damage to where you can eventually delimb these guys. But that's the main thing you really want to go for, is you want to go for that Nimpo, you know, to wipe out basically those guys if you can. If you do get overwhelmed by, like, the last wave, then you could always just use Nimpo then too, but I recommend at least saving a Nimpo for the next wave of enemies we have to deal with. So once you've cleared them out, run back and save, because doing that all over again is a complete nightmare. Also, for some reason, the essence doesn't actually spawn for Ryu when he gets here. It's very weird. I don't know why, but it does spawn for Ione. Just one of those things. So you can buy items, but you don't really have enough money to really buy a lot of items. There's a grain right there. So at this point in time, you could probably have like maybe 2 to 3 grains, which is good. If you do have at least a good amount of health items, I'd recommend going for at least a couple of Devil Mushroom if you have the money for it. You can technically, in all technicality, build more money just by doing, you know, harder UTs and doing the actual money trick, so to speak. I say trick, but I mean, like, you know, chaining together essence and, you know, combining them together to get more money eventually and all that other fun stuff. But I don't know. I do with what I have, and for me personally, when it comes to Master Ninja, I'm not here about money. I'm here about just doing what I can. Also, I may have edited it out. Oh, crap. I do apologize for that. I may have edited it out, but there are supposed to be 2 more Archfiends that spawn. After you save the game, 2 more Archfiends, or winged arch enemies will spawn. Just take them out like normal. Just flying swallow, that other thing. I did mean to edit it out. I'm sorry. We all fail every once in a while, so I'm kind of tired. That type of thing. So as soon as you run in here, go to your left and go for like a running light attack. Just run and then press, you know, forward and light attack, and then you can eventually get a potentially nice stab or, well, delimb on the first mage, and that's the guy that you want to go for first. Is get rid of that first mage. After you've cleared out the first wave, now you have to deal with more mages, And, you know, flying swallow like normal. If you can get that flying swallow off, that's great. And once he drops essence, you know, just UT. Just constantly UT in here because, for the most part, you don't have a lot of room. If you don't have the opportunity to UT, then you could also do this as well, where you just flying swallow and just, you know, continuously go back and forth between it. The only reason having Nimpo is useful for this at all is just for these waves of fights. I will show you how to fight I'll show you how to fight the boss. The way I do it, though. The way I do it isn't perfect, but it doesn't really require Nimpo to really fight off. So, you'll see what I'm talking about when we get there. Basically, what I'm trying to say is there's almost no need to have Nimpo stored up that long for, you know, at least until you get to here. Once you get to here, when these waves of enemies just become kind of overwhelming, that's a good time to kind of do it, especially toward the mages. And, of course, the Tiger Claw foot soldiers. I mean, Sparta Clan guys, sorry. I don't know what else to call them, like blue, purple, gray, whatever color they have on. Looks kind of like bluish purple to me. Maybe I'm colorblind, I don't know. Yeah, it looks kind of purple, especially in this nightlight, so I'm not sure. Yeah, of course, take out the waves. Another little trick that you could do is just, instead of killing all the red spider guys, what you could do is just de-limb as many of them as you possibly can. And then once you de-limb them, they can't really do much besides throw stuff. And just, like, you know, run away as far as you can, charge up UTs, and just basically get away, get back, and just, you know, get safe, and then take out whoever is giving you the most pressure. That way, when enemies are de-limbed, they can't really do much. They just get stuck, and they just walk. I mean, once they get close to you, yeah, they'll try something, but other than that, yeah. So here is, I think, the Archfiend Queen, or whatever it is. We see her in Ninja Gaiden 3, so she has a few attacks. She has this one where she does, like, 2 to 3 swipes. If she does 2 swipes, she puts her arm on the ground like that, that's a good time to attack her. So my best advice is actually going against the grain and actually being aggressive to her. So what happens is she'll actually do the spin attack. You want to keep holding block and keep dodging to the left. That's where you want to keep dodging. Dodge to the left every time. When you get a chance to attack her, just keep going. Now, when she does fall down like that where she gets kind of tired, she has an opportunity to grab you, and you want to be careful of that. See right there? That's the grab. That's one of 2 grabs she can do. She has one where she has like a long-range grab, but we probably won't see it very often. And she only usually ever does it with her left arm, but we're sticking to her right side, so that's where you want to be dodging at. You want to be dodging to her left, dodging to your left on her right. And sometimes you can actually get away with not getting hit by this spin attack if you stay like really close to her body. Also, if you do happen to get grabbed, you can actually, during the grab, use a health item to break out of it. Now, right there, sticking close to her while she's doing that is, or just, you know, running away and dodging is good. Yeah, you see that? I dodged that completely. Look at that. That's crazy, isn't it? But yeah, even though I get grabbed, I don't die instantly, which is nice. But if you have a grain, you can at least come back from it. That's what I recommend doing. Keeping at least a grain, just in case you do get grabbed. So always stick to her left side. Be as aggressive as possible. Always, you know, continuously block her attacks. Follow up, knock her down. Avoid the grabs. There you go. And that's it. So, see you guys in Chapter 12. Take care, everybody.